watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Has arrived, and that means the Germantown Charity Horse Show is in full swing.
Hello and welcome to GHS-TV's coverage of the 75th Germantown Charity Horse Show. I'm Calvin Nicholson.
And I'm Lynette Davis. Hundreds of horses and their riders come to this event to show off their skills and dedication. Every year during the first week of June, we get to watch as they jump and gallop their way to the winner's circle.
We have reporters scattered all over the grounds to give you a unique look at the horse show. Let's find out what they have in store.
Nearly 100 riding trainers gather at the Germantown Charity Horse Show this week. I'm Amir Abdurrashid, and I'm going to be looking at the importance of those trainers in keeping this horse show running.
I'm Michelle Yu. Saddle up and get ready for the ride as we go behind the curtain to find out what it takes to get a horse ready for competition.
It's a blast from the past at the horse show this year. Organizers have brought back a very unique class. I'm Tyler Curry, and I'll introduce you to the class that brought the 40s back in pairs.
Do you have a lucky charm? Well, a horse has four. I'm Christopher Pina, and I'll be here talking with the men that keep the horse's hooves competition ready.
Hundreds of riders and horses from all over the country are here this week competing. But none of this would be possible without the dedication of a trainer. GHS-TV reporter Amir Abdurrashid is with one now.
The horse show is beloved by participants and the audience, but there is no horse show without the trainers. Joining me today is trainer Beanie Cone. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Can you walk me through some of your training strategies and your philosophies?
So training-wise, it depends on the type of rider you have and their experience level. Some jump smaller jumps, which may be out here, or even X-rails, and then some get into the bigger jumps, which are down like in the jumper ring. Sometimes when you start with the ones that are babies, or the horses are babies, green is what the terminology, you have to take baby steps with them and take it slow with them and more of a slower ride. Ones that jump maybe a little bigger, that could be some of these type jumps, 3-6. They have more experience and you can open up their stride, meaning let them get a little bigger, more pace to them.
So what skill range and age group would you say you work with most closely?
Left leg chain, or left leg, look. Keep her even now, even pace. Even pace, there it is. Little lag, go with it, good. We start kids at the age of 6. That's always a good age to start with. Once they're confident and not crying on a horse and stuff like that, then if they're going around, they build confidence up. If they're scared and crying, then they don't learn as quick. And then I take them on up, and I've had them as old as 80 years old, that have been riding and taking lessons for years.
Mr. Beatty, can you tell me what are some things you teach your riders about taking care of their horses?
The care of the horse has to do with everything from catching them, to brushing them, to picking their hooves, looking for cuts, looking for fungus or hair that may be messed up because of skin irritations, to everything from making sure they're eating grain, eating hay, making sure the vets are taking care of their horse. But it all has to do with treating the horse like you would want to be treated, is a good way to look at it. So in other words, you want the care that your parents could give you.
So how long would you work with a rider before you would say they're ready for a horse show?
In schooling shows, I've had one rider that started off, had 4 lessons, we went right into the show because we can go in and put them over a little pole on the ground, and that's the beginning stages of teaching a child. The more the rider gets in the ring and in front of a judge and riding in front of people, more and more confident they get. If they come to a horse show like once a year or twice a year, they usually don't do as well because they get nervous and scared.
So, Mr. Beanie, how do you assess progress and set goals for your riders?
So, setting goals is I have meetings with my riders and their parents, usually once a year, and we figure out what their goal is, whether or not they want to learn how to trot a horse, or learn how to catch a horse, or learn how to canter a jump that's 2 feet, or whether or not they want to go and do big jumps and buy horses or lease horses. And all that is done through communication, just through meetings. And then we set goals and we try to achieve them. Count.
1, 2, 1,
There you go. Good. Excellent. Good.
So, what would you say is the biggest difficulty with working with newer riders?
Newer riders, probably confidence and not being nervous and scared and timid, and being more confident with the horse and what they can do. If they're not looking where they're going and they're looking at the horse, they can't steer. Sort of like driving a car. If you're looking down, you're gonna run into something. So they get nervous, and first thing to do is close their waist up and they don't steer. You can't sit yourself back up, which has always sort of been a little bit of a problem.
I don't really think that's an issue. I think it's just me.
I think it's lack of confidence. I think that's the word. I think it's just you. You're not used to this horse. So that just comes with just practice. You know, the more you ride, the better it is.
Thank you, Beanie Cone. You gave our viewers some much needed information.
All right, thank you.
Reporting live with GHS-TV, I'm Amir Abdurrashid.
Hunters emphasize on the smoothness, style, and consistency over jumps. The rider has around 8 jumps and completes the course as effortlessly as possible. Jumpers focus on the speed and agility of the horse and the rider. The goal of the jumpers is to cover the 12 jumps within a certain time. If a rider is clean, meaning no knocked rails, then the rider will move into the jump off. The rider will have a different set of jumps, and the fastest time wins.
This year, the Charity Horse Show is bringing back a class that hasn't competed here since the 1940s. GHS-TV reporter Tyler Curry is with a historian to talk about the significance.
When it comes to an event like the Germantown Charity Horse Show, there's nothing more important than keeping the history of this event alive. Today, history is being made by bringing back the hunter pairs. Here with me to give more insight on this unique event and the history behind it is writer and historian Mary Beth Foster Berry. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
So, Ms. Berry, can you explain the hunter pairs?
Okay. The hunter pairs, they did have the class last night for the opening ceremonies. It started in the beginning, the horse show started in 1948. So the hunter pairs is the class that we decided to renew this time. Hadn't been done in many, many years. So the reason for that is, you said explain the hunter pairs, is because the whole group of people were all about fox hunting. They were all about training horses to jump, and there are a lot of skills that you need on a fox hunting field that you don't need necessarily in a ring class. So the classes in the show kind of reflected and that's all about jumping too. So you go in groups on a hunt field, and you have to be with other people jumping their horse over the same jumps that you're jumping your horse over. So being able to discipline your horse and manage the pairs is about being in sync with your partner. It's kind of like synchronized swimming, but it all had to do with the skills and the communication between your horse and your rider to do it well. And then all of that would make you a better fox hunter.
And can you explain why this hunter class is so different from the others?
I've learned so much doing this project, and I learned that just jumping is different if you're jumping out in a field for a fox hunt or if you're being judged by a jumping expert for in the ring. You're not being judged on your posture and a lot of different things. If you're out in a field, you're chasing a fox and you don't want to get hurt, you don't want to hurt anybody else, you want to stay on your horse. But if you're in the ring, you've got a whole lot of other things that they're looking at.
And Ms. Berry, can you explain why this class was taken out so early in the history? And why bring it back now?
Why did we bring it back now? Okay, so that's a good question. 75th anniversary. So we had a committee that's been meeting for a year and talking for over a year about what can we do that will make this particular 75th show different from any other show and that people might be interested in, and so they can learn a little bit. And we were inspired, really inspired, by this picture. And it is two people that I remember as a child. These two people were friends of my parents. Bart Muller. Bart Muller is on the story, the history of the show. He was Mr. Hunter, fox hunter expert, and his wife, Mary, who was an artist, but they were in their 20s when they did all this. So we wanted to be authentic, and we also wanted to pull attention back to 1948, the very first show. So we thought that would be interesting to bring back a class like that, and it was doable, to do.
And finally, Ms. Berry, since this is the 75th anniversary of the horse show, are there any special plans that you have?
Good question. We've got a lot of little things. We've got a special logo for the 75th year, which covers everything. We've got a lot of extra decorations, and we've got a photo spot that has the 75th anniversary. We had the opening night. Last night was a very special event. We had my mother, who's 92 and was married to the founder, and her friend Tempe, who came to the very first horse show. We recognized the fact that these two ladies have been involved for almost all of the 75 years, and in different capacities. Neither one of them are riders. Neither one of them would have been in the classes, but they were interested in the family, in the people of Germantown, in the community growth, and what this show has been able to do for Germantown over all those years. So that was a special event. So as we go through the week, there'll be different things that focus on 75. Opening night was a big one. Closing night is always fun. But I think that's the main. We started it off with a real nod back to 1948.
Well, thank you for your time and for keeping history alive.
You're welcome. Appreciate it.
Reporting for GHS-TV, I'm Tyler Curry.
Typical horses have 4 gaits: a walk, trot, canter, and gallop. We measure a horse gait by beats. Each time the horse hoof reaches the ground is a beat. A horse's walk is the slowest gait with an action of 4 beats. Trot is a 2-beat diagonal movement. A canter is a 3-beat motion that is faster than a walk and a trot. The last gait is a gallop. This is much like the canter, but faster. There are some horse breeds that have more gaits, and those horses are generally called gaited horses. These horses have extra gaits typical horses cannot do.
It takes a lot to put on a horse show of this size, especially on such an important anniversary as the 75th. Horse show president Mary Livesay is here to talk with me today about what makes the show so special. Welcome, Miss Mary. How are you doing today, Miss Livesay?
I'm doing well, thanks.
What made you want to become president of such a massive event?
Probably because I didn't know better. I had chaired a lot of other parts of the horse show, so it was kind of a natural evolution to move into sponsorship, which is the vice president position, and then president.
Since this is your last year in office of president, what are some policies you've carried out in your tenure?
Well, It's been really important to me that we launch our capital campaign. We're calling it a improvement initiative. But in order for us to stay competitive with other horse shows like ours, and to improve the footing, which is what you see out there in the grounds, and the drainage so that it's safe for horses and riders, we've got to put a lot of money into renovation. So that has been of utmost importance to me to get that organized, and it's launching this very week.
Ms. Livesay, if someone has never attended a horse show, how would you explain it to them?
Well, the horse show is for anyone. It's not just for someone who's familiar with horses. You don't have to touch them. Some people worry about that. But it's more of a festival-like atmosphere. So I think of this particular horse show as the launching of summer in Germantown. But it's just a fun time with lots of food vendors and other sale vendors and beautiful horses. There's lots to see and do, and it's very family friendly.
A fan favorite event is the Grand Prix. Could you explain to us what it is and why is it so popular?
Well, the Grand Prix is the highlight of our show, and it's always on Saturday evening. It's scheduled for 5:30, but there's always a little wiggle room there. And that is the best of the best. It's a difficult course that the riders have to memorize, and the jumps are very high, taller than me. So it's very difficult. It's amazing to watch them, and it's a $25,000 purse prize, so there's a lot at stake.
Ms. Livesay, this is the 75th year. Could you talk about the evolution of the show over time?
Well, the show's been around since 1948, and it started with one gentleman who'd come home from World War II and had seen some similar events in Europe. And he and some of his horse enthusiast friends would get together for fox hunting and things like that. And they decided they wanted to plan a horse show. And the first organized horse show was in 1948. And that was on the grounds of the Mabel C. Williams High School, which is now, of course, Germantown High School. And even from that very first show, there has always been a charitable donation. So that year, it was lighting for the football field, which is where the horse show was held. And then the horse show has been going on each year since. There's only been one little blip in time where we had to cancel a show, and that was during COVID. But otherwise, the Germantown Charity Horse Show is the longest running sporting event in Shelby County.
The Germantown Charity Horse Show is a true gathering of the community. Could you tell us some of the organizations that volunteer each year?
Yeah, we have actually just random people from the community send us emails asking to volunteer, but this year I know we have volunteers from STARS, the Lions Club, the Germantown Women's Club, and a few people from Leadership Germantown.
The horse show is a charity horse show. Could you tell us a little bit about this year's charity partnership?
Yes, we're doing things a little differently this year. Of course, we won't know how much money we're able to give until after the show. So instead of having one charity, we're going to have 5. And those will be announced in the fall. That's when we typically give the money to charity, but it'll be a new thing, and I'm kind of hoping it'll be a regular thing that different charities in the community can actually apply for that grant, and they'll be selected each year.
Speaking of giving back, we want to thank you for all that the horse show does for the Germantown High School Fine Arts Department and the scholarship that goes to that lucky senior. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, we are so glad to have you as a partner.
Ms. Livesay, thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. And again, and good luck on the rest of the show.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Lynette.
That was a great interview, Calvin. Let's send things back out to the grounds now. GHS-TV reporter Chris Penna is with a guest who has a very interesting job here.
Hey everyone, I'm here with the people that keep the horses cool, calm, and comfortable. Joining me today is Daniel Doris and Boone Barney. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
So, Mr. Doris, I'll start with you. What is a farrier?
A farrier, at the most basic sense, is somebody that helps the horses to do their jobs, whether it's jumping or pulling a carriage or even a plow.
And for you, Mr. Barney, why did you want to become a farrier, and how long have you been doing it for?
Straight out of high school, I wanted to become a farrier. I saw videos online, thought it was a absolutely interesting job, and 4 years ago I had my opportunity, so I went to school and I've been doing it ever since.
And Mr. Doris, what kind of training is required to become a farrier?
Here in the States, there's actually no real requirement, so anybody could theoretically do it. What we recommend is either going to a school or finding a farrier in your area to apprentice to.
And Mr. Barney, what does every horse require a shoe?
No, there's really only 3 reasons to shoe a horse. One reason is they wear more foot off than they grow. The other reason is to help them perform in their job, whether it be they need more traction for jumping, whether they need slide plates on the back for sliding to rein horses, or therapeutic reasons. Outside of that, a lot of horses don't need shoes. Actually, I would say a majority of horses don't need shoes.
And what different type of shoes are there, Mr. Doris?
Quite a few. The standard that everyone thinks of, just the regular horseshoe, you can get those in steel and aluminum. Also, more recently, in a kind of a polyurethane style shoe that we glue on. There's also shoes that have more breakover to them to help a horse that needs that. There's heart bars, which kind of have a general heart shape to them. A lot of names are very literal. There's also egg bars, egg shaped, straight bars, which is like a heart bar but no frog plate.
And Mr. Barney, how do you know where to place the nail and the shoe?
So you base it off of what the horse needs, but they have a general anatomy. They'll have their sole, their white line, and their hoof wall. We aim to put the nail in the white line of the foot. It's the most elastic part of the foot. It helps hold the nails in, and it prevents their feet from breaking apart, whether they pull a shoe or, in this time, stomping flies causes their feet to just kind of fall apart. So we go into the white line of the foot.
And does the horse feel this in any way?
No. They'll feel you physically hitting the foot, but they don't have any discomfort or pain if you do it right. If you do it wrong, you can get into a sensitive structure, and it will cause them pain. But if you're doing it correctly, they don't feel anything at all.
Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been such an interesting conversation.
Yep, no problem.
Nice to meet you.
Reporting for GHS-TV, I'm Christopher Keenan.
A stride is the distance a horse covers in one step. It's very important to count these strides when jumping. When we count strides, we are measuring the distance a horse needs to jump. Before a rider enters the ring, he or she should walk the course and judge the distance between the jumps. Once the rider is in the arena, he or she needs to count the strides to accurately execute the jumps.
Caring for a competition horse is no easy feat. GHS-TV reporter Michelle Yu is with a rider to find out what goes into getting competition ready.
Hi everyone, I'm at Hunter's Edge Stables Barn, where all the pre-care and grooming happens before a ride. Joining me is Lisa Bello to tell us all about what it takes to maintain a healthy horse. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Bello.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to be here, and this is Update, so he's here with us as well. As far as everything that it takes, I have to get here pretty early in the morning, and because he's a really sensitive guy, he needs a little bit of, like, it's called ulcer guard, but it's kind of similar to Tums for his stomach, just so that he feels better. So I give him ulcer guard, and then I even give him a little bit of alfalfa, which also helps his stomach. And then I take him out and I have to groom him. A lot of times, because they're in the stall all night long, I like to walk him around and graze him so he can have grass and feel, like a horse and not just all, cooped up in the stall. So then I'll bring him back, and if it's time for my class, I will start to, brush him and clean his hooves out. And this kind of allows me to know what kind of mood he's in as well while I'm doing this. Because we have a lot of horses here. So, for the person who's feeding, sometimes he may forget, oh, this is the one that gets this food, So I have to just double check, make sure that's the food he's getting, make sure he's getting the proper hay, because he doesn't just get hay, he gets alfalfa, just checking, basically, to make sure his regiment is being kept.
Other competitors hire groomers. Do you feel that this affects the relationship between a horse and their rider?
I do, because I feel like, again, to really know what kind of mood your horse is in for the day and to have that relationship, you know, with them, you have to be a little more hands-on. When you know, you were asking me about others who hire full-time grooms, in this case, it's referred to people who literally will show up at the gate, the horse is brought to them, and they get on and they go. And I feel that would be really challenging for me, because I would feel like I don't know what kind of mood they're in, I don't know how they're taking the jump, I don't know any of that. But if I'm there riding him day in and day out and warming him up myself before, then I have an idea of what kind of horse I'm dealing with for this next round that I'm going to do.
So, Ms. Barlow, we've heard of the term tacking. What does tacking up your horse really mean?
Okay, so tacking up your horse is basically what I was saying in the beginning, where it's where you will put their saddle pad on, their saddle, their girth. If they have a martingale, which helps keep the saddle in place, you might be putting that on, and then you have to put on their bridle. So that's like putting the tack on the horse and then getting them ready to go to the show ring.
With everything that's going on, how do you keep your horse from being easily spooked?
Well, you can't always 100% stop them from being spooked, because there is a lot going on. Like, for example, some of them aren't used to the carriage horses, and so the other day when I was walking up to the ring, there were some people who were going by in carriage, and he didn't really know, but I just stopped, let him take a look at it, you know, tell him it's okay, and then once he realizes that they're not going to hurt him, then he's usually okay with it. But some horses are a little bit more spooky than others. He's usually pretty good.
And lastly, Ms. Barlow, what keeps you coming back every year to compete?
I think it's just like with any competition, you want to improve. So you want to do better than your last show.
Well, Ms. Barlow, thank you so much for giving us an insight on the horse show.
Oh, you're welcome.
Reporting for GHS-TV, I'm Michelle Yu.
We're not going to school, but these classes refer to a specific competition event at the show. We compete against other riders in each class we participate in. Then, our scores can be averaged to see if we win the whole division.
That's going to wrap up the coverage of the 75th Germantown Charity Horse Show. Again, thank you to Ms. Livesay and everyone on the ground who spoke to our reporters.
You can come out and support the charity every year. It happens the first week of June here at the Germantown Civic Club Complex. Admission is $5 per person. And again, proceeds go to charity.
For more information, you can visit their website at gchs.org. And you can visit us on the web at GHS-TV.org and on Facebook and Instagram.
From all of us here at GHS-TV, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time at the Germantown Charity Horse Show.